Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and basically a subscriber hit me up in the DMs and they wanted me to make a video on just what flip should they learn first. They wanted to know like the order, like what flip should they learn first and what should they learn after that, and to be honest, it's kind of a hard question to answer because everyone learns flips at different rates. Some people might be more comfortable with the backflip than others, so some people might want to learn that first and some people might want to learn that last. It really just depends, but I'm going to give you my personal opinion on what you should learn first, and this is going to be like the easiest, I guess, step up on how to learn flips. So let's get right into it. So first off, in my opinion, the first thing you should learn is the front handspring, and the reason behind that is because I would say the front flip, but the front flip, honestly, if you don't know how to do a front handspring, it can be kind of scary because it's a really foreign movement. I mean, sure, you're used to doing like maybe forward rolls, but like jumping up in the air and tucking it can feel really weird, so I think learning the front handspring is really helpful in that. Plus the front handspring in itself is, I think, a pretty cool move. I mean, if you can do it really smooth and, you know, it's not hard to learn, so it looks really good. It's a really cool looking move to throw into your combos and stuff. But learning the front handspring will help you so much when you try to learn the front flip. I know I had to learn the front handspring first. Now, this is what I think. I think the front flip, out of the front flip, back flip, and side flip, I think the front flip is the hardest. And the reason I think that is because it's a lot harder to land a front flip really clean than a back flip and a side flip, which a lot of people find surprising because they think that the back flip would be like the scariest, so they think that that would be like the hardest to land, but that's actually not how it is. I think the front flip is the hardest of those three, but I still recommend learning the front flip first. Out of the front flip, back flip, and side flip, I recommend learning the front flip first because that's actually what I did. Now, just because the front flip is the hardest out of the three, that doesn't mean it's a hard move in itself. It's really not that difficult of a move, but out of those three, it's the hardest, but it's the least awkward, and it's the least scary, and I know whenever I first ever threw a front flip, I pretty much almost landed it. I mean, I had to like lean forward and use my hands to land, but like I pretty much almost landed it, and I was really surprised because it was my first time ever even attempting it like off the trampoline. At that time, I could barely even do it on the trampoline, if I'm being honest, because I kind of just sucked at the trampoline back then. But yeah, I would learn the front flip, I would learn the front handspring first, and then move on to the front flip. Once you learn the front flip, you'll realize, hey, flipping isn't actually that difficult. A lot of people think that people who know how to do flips are like these crazy athletes and they've been training for decades to get that good. I mean, that's really not true. I mean, I think anyone who's like somewhat physically fit can learn to flip. I mean, I've seen people that weigh like 200 to 300 pounds do flips cooler than me. Look up a video called Fat Kid Lands B-Twist. Yeah, that's one of the most inspirational videos I've ever watched as far as flips go, because like this kid, I mean, like he was big, like, you know, he was really big, he was really fat, and like, you know, hence the name Fat Kid, but like he could still B-twist like way cleaner than I can right now. What a legend. But anyway, so moving on, after the front flip, you don't have to learn the side flip. Personally, I would. I learned the side flip actually after I learned how to back flip, so I went from front flip to back flip to side flip. Not because the side flip is the hardest, but just because, I don't know, honestly, I just did. So the side flip is a weird move. It's a really weird move. I've had so many people tell me, like, you know, I would do a side flip, and then, you know, people who are like really good at flips, like even better than me, they would tell me like they don't even know how to do a side flip. They don't even want to try it because it's so awkward, and like it can be an awkward move. Like the side flip, it's not the easiest move. I mean, the front flip, you know, you go forward and that's it. The back flip, you go backward. Like people, it may seem scary at first, but like at least you like know what you're doing. But on the side flip, people aren't used to seeing side flips because it's not like the most common flip you see. So jumping and like turning to the side and flipping, like it just seems so weird to people, which I can completely understand. Like it is kind of a weird move. So that's more optional. You can learn the side flip after that. I think the side flip is kind of like an intermediate. It's not as scary as the back flip, but it's not as hard as the front flip. So it's kind of like in between there. So I recommend trying to learn the side flip. Also, I didn't mention this before, I meant to actually say this sooner, but get a trampoline if you're serious about learning flips. Like, if you really want to learn flips, get a trampoline. You don't have to get, you know, this giant Goliath trampoline. If any of you watch Tanner Braungart, he has a trampoline called the Goliath, and it's this, like, 20-foot long giant trampoline that probably costs, like, $10,000 or something, I don't know. You don't have to get something like that. I mean, you can honestly just get a cheap trampoline. You know, unfortunately, trampolines are kind of expensive. But if you're like serious about learning flips, like you really want to learn flips, get a trampoline. Like it's worth the money, trust me. Trampolines make everything like a million times easier when it comes to learning flips. Let's say you can't afford a trampoline. Well, you can either find a trampoline park, you can maybe find a gymnastics gym, and there you can find like coaches that can spot your flips. give you tips, and chances are the gymnastics gym will have a spring floor, a foam pit, and a trampoline. Or you can get, I mean, you don't have to get like a memory foam mattress, but you can get like, you know, just a thin, like kind of crappy mattress, you know, just any pads make it a lot easier. Or there's a fourth option, which is just training on hard ground. But anyway, moving on, so let's say you may or may not have just learned the side flip. I recommend learning it. It's cool. It's not too hard in my opinion. So next up, I would recommend learning the back handspring, and a lot of people are scared of this move. They think it's going to be like, there's a lot of fears when it comes to the back handspring. They think either they're not going to get around enough and they're going to like land on their head. They think that like if they do get around, their arms are going to like break under the pressure, or their arms are just not strong enough to support them and their arms are going to collapse and they'll land on their face or something. Not that that's never happened before, that has happened before, but it's super rare and I really would not ever expect that to happen to me like on my first time learning the back handspring. The thing is, the back handspring, it's really not hard. I mean, literally all it is you just jump back, just throw your arms back, and that's it. Like, you just land on your arms and like it's over before you know it, and it's not a hard move. It seems like it's super scary and like it can go wrong in all these ways. No, honestly, there's nothing to really worry about. I highly recommend learning the back handspring before you learn the backflip. In fact, if you can get a good back handspring, you can actually like tweak your back handspring and kind of turn it into a backflip. So you can like jump back like you're going into a back handspring, but instead of putting your hands on the ground, you just tuck and like you literally just did a backflip then. So back handspring, I'd almost say that's a requirement because the back handspring, like the front handspring, it's a cool move in itself. It looks really awesome, and it's super helpful when it comes to learning the backflip. Because when you do the backflip, you jump up, and the scariest part is whenever, like let's say I was standing up and I'm doing a backflip. Whenever you're about at this point, it's scary because you can't see the ground, you don't know where you are in space, and it's really sketchy. But if you learn how to back handspring, you won't have that fear, and plus, if you were to do a backflip and you got scared, at least you know how to bail into a back handspring. So I'd say definitely learn the back handspring. That's extremely helpful, and I honestly would not skip that if I were you. Even it seems scary. It's really easy to say, oh, he didn't say that move's a requirement, I'll skip it. But honestly, I mean, just because I say it's not a requirement that you learn it, doesn't mean you shouldn't learn it. Chances are you probably should learn it, but if you're really special, maybe you don't have to learn the back handspring to do a backflip. But I think you should still learn it because it's a cool move. So after the back handspring, you probably guessed it, the backflip. And the backflip, the thing is with the backflip is it's like, the main reason people are so scared of it is because they just don't know how it works. They think it's like this insane acrobatic stunt that like only special people can do, and that's not it at all. I mean, the backflip is honestly like, it's really easy. As far as the technique goes, it's literally a jump and a tuck. Like, that's actually all you do. But people don't know that jumping up in the air and doing a hard tuck will get you around, and you will not land on your head and die like you would originally think you would do. People don't know that because obviously if you've never done it before, you don't know how it works, so you can't really get over that fear because it's like, you don't know. So for the backflip, I highly recommend getting a trampoline. Learn the back handspring on the trampoline, transition that into a backflip. Once you have the backflip on the trampoline, just drill that like just literally all day. Just do tons and tons of them, maybe even like hundreds of backflips every day on the trampoline, and eventually you'll realize like there's really not a whole lot to the backflip. So I recommend having someone spot you, preferably someone who's like a trained like coach at a gymnastics gym or something. If you don't know, spotting is basically when someone just puts their hand on your back, and whenever you backflip, they hold you up so that you don't like fall straight to the ground and die, and they throw your legs around so that you can land it, which helps you get out of the, like, literally having someone spot you, I guarantee you that will like get you over the fear like instantly. Have someone spot you a few times, have them spot you a little less, so maybe not have their hand on your back but like ready just in case you do screw up, and then eventually just have them not spot you at all and you can do a backflip. And it's really surprising, like once you learn the backflip, you'll realize like, wow, I had nothing to be scared of at all. And I know me just telling you that isn't going to be enough for you to be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to have any fear now, because, I mean, your brain doesn't know. Your brain doesn't know that there's nothing to worry about, so your brain is obviously going to be really sketched out by that, and it's not going to want you to do it. Just go the extra mile to really just have someone spot you. I mean, there's spotting tutorials online, you know, how to spot your friend on a backflip, so just get someone you trust that won't drop you on your head, have them spot you, and it'll be good. Okay, so you just learned the front flip, maybe side flip, and back flip. After that, I mean, honestly, drill those. Like, drill those, get them down really good. That way you can move on to variations. So if you don't know what a variation is, It's a variation of the move. I know that was really unexpected, but variations are probably what you see the most when it comes to, like, if you ever watch, World's Greatest Parkour and Free Running, those compilations. Most of the stuff you see are variations on the move, so you don't see a whole lot of just front flips. I mean, you do see it quite a bit, but you'll notice a lot you see people doing spinny moves and crazy, like, twists and just all sorts of cool stuff. Flips off walls, sorts of cool stuff like that. Those are all variations of, like, let's just look at the backflip for a second. There's lots of variations for the backflip. There's the gainer, which is just taking off of one leg, or, just backflipping forward. Cheat gainer, which is basically a gainer, except you kind of, like, tilt your body and slants it a little, and it's a lot easier and it's a lot less scary. There's the wall flip, which, you step up on the wall, backflip off the wall. There's the back full, or back 360. There's the Arabian, which is kind of like half of a back full. You might consider the corkscrew maybe a backflip variation. I mean, there's kind of a difference. It's more like a cheat gainer variation. Anyway, yeah. So as far as what should you learn as far as backflip variations in order? Well, after you get really good at the backflip, oh, I forgot one. There's actually the flash kick, which is basically a backflip except in midair. So you backflip and then you kick your leg out. The first backflip variation I would recommend learning is the cheat gainer. And the reason behind that is because the cheat gainer it's a really good prerequisite for things like corks, regular gainers, all sorts of stuff like that. And the cheat gainer, I mean, in my opinion, the cheat gainer is one of the coolest moves, like, as far as parkour goes, in my opinion. Like, I think the cheat gainer just looks really awesome when people can do it smooth. So after you learn the cheat gainer, I would recommend going on to maybe the regular gainer. And soon you can move on to learning moves like the corkscrew, which they seem super scary, but, like, once you kind of go for it, you'll realize it's really not that hard. I mean, every move in parkour looks complicated. Like, when you don't do flips and you're new to flips, every move looks complicated, but it can be broken down 90% of moves into 2 steps. The cork. Okay, swing your leg up, tuck. That's it. Back flip, jump, tuck. Front flip, jump, tuck. Side flip, jump, tuck. Like, in the end, most moves, like 90% of moves, they can be broken down into really just 2 parts. When it comes to learning flips, it's about, in my opinion, like 10% learning the technique and 90% getting over that fear. The fear is always what'll stop you. Now here's the thing with fear. Fear isn't a bad thing. I mean, without fear, like, you'd be doing a lot of crazy stuff that would get you killed. It's important. Like, you need fear, but sometimes you don't need fear. Your brain is just being kind of paranoid about something that doesn't actually really matter, like the backflip. Your brain thinks, oh, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna land on my head, but, like, in reality, it's like, the fear just creates problems that don't actually exist, and it's like, it really just kind of, the thing is with fear, sometimes it helps, sometimes it actually hurts more than it helps. When it comes to the backflip, if there was no fear, you'd actually land it a lot more than if, like, you do it. Okay, so, the camera cut out on me, and apparently every 20 minutes it cuts out, and yeah, so the last thing I was talking about was fear. I don't know what I said after that. So I was talking about fear. Fear, it screws you over sometimes. Sometimes it helps. When it comes to flips, honestly, you just need to push the fear aside. It can get in the way, and it can make it to where you actually can't learn the flip. So basically, you gotta turn your brain off. When you go, I don't know if I said this already, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The key to learning the flip when you're super scared of it and you just have all this fear is to turn your brain off and just do the flip. Just throw the flip. You have to just turn your brain off for a second and do it, and you'll probably land it. Okay, so when you learn flips, first thing I recommend learning the front handspring. After that, you need to learn the front flip, and once you learn the front handspring and the front flip, you'll realize flips are super easy to learn, and there's really no reason to be scared of them. And you'll have a lot more confidence when learning new flips, because you'll be like, hey, I mean, I learned how to front flip, why can't I learn how to back flip or side flip? So after that, you should learn how to side flip. It's really awkward. I mean, it's an awkward move. I mean, I've had professional flippers like tell me like they really don't know how to side flip, and it's just awkward for them. I mean, think of it like this. The side flip is basically the front flip, except you turn to the side. You know, front flip, you jump and you tuck. Side flip, you jump and you tuck, just to your side instead of forward. After that, learn the back handspring. The back handspring can be scary. You know, there's lots of fear in the back handspring. You think you're gonna break your arms or something, but learn the back handspring with, you know, mats, trampoline, gym instructor, you know, just whatever you can get. Everyone, you know, when they find out you do parkour, they always ask for the backflip. They never ask for any, like, really cool moves like corkscrews or tricking, you know, cart fulls or round off, you know, backflips or whatever. They always ask for the backflip, which is, in my opinion, not the coolest move. I mean, yeah, it's really easy to throw and it looks cool, but like there's so many cooler moves out there. Which is why after you learn the backflip, you need to, first off, you need to drill. Like you need to really just drill hard all the basics. So the front flip, the side flip, and the back flip. Drill them hard, get them super comfortable, that way you can learn variations. So first off, you know, when it comes to variations, you can learn whatever you want. I mean, obviously, if you know how to do a backflip, you probably don't have the fear when it comes to, you know, that you had like before you learned how to do flips and stuff, so obviously it's going to be a lot easier to learn variations, so you might not have to start with the front flip or the side flip. If you're figuring out which variations you want to learn, honestly, just look them up. Look up front flip variations, so look up, let's see, Webster, advanced front flip, Rudy, front 180, all sorts of stuff like that. You know, you'll be able to look at it and just tell, okay, yeah, I think I'll learn this one right now, and then I'll learn these other ones later. Because parkour, it's like a game of building blocks. You start off with the small stupid stuff that looks retarded and doesn't make any sense, and you're going to be like, man, why am I even learning this? And then you learn some slightly cooler stuff, and you just keep building up and up and up until eventually you'll learn how to do really awesome flips. And you'll realize, like, you wouldn't have been able to learn that if you would have learned all your previous things. Because they help get you comfortable and they help you build, especially they help you build confidence on doing it. Because you'll be like, okay, well, I learned how to do this, so why can't I learn how to do this? So as far as backflip variations go, I recommend first off learning, let's see, maybe the cheat gainer or the flash kick. Both are somewhat easy. I mean, it's easy for me, you know, to say, like, oh, these are really easy moves. But, like, because, you know, I do them all the time. But you might think they're really hard. They're really not. You just have to get comfortable with the technique, and once you do, and once you get over the fear, you'll be landing them left and right. After you learn those, you can build up to cooler moves like the cork, full, or, you know, also known as the back 360. The Arabian, which in my opinion is like one of the hardest. Like, I think the Arabian's a really hard move, even though it's supposed to be a prerequisite. One of the earliest variations I learned of the backflip was the wall flip, and people think that's a hard move. It's not. It's actually easier than the regular backflip, believe it or not. Side flip doesn't have a whole lot of variations. I mean, there's, you know, the standing side flip, the Webster side flip. That's pretty much about it. I mean, there's also side fulls. I actually want to learn how to do side fulls really soon. I think I might start drilling that as soon as I can. Front flip variations from there, so Webster. The Webster's a somewhat easy move. You can learn front 180s, Rudies. I mean, Rudies and front 180s are actually kind of advanced, but, you know, that's just in the future. When it comes to learning variations, just look up variations and just look at which ones you think you can do. Learn them. Move on to the other ones. Watch lots of tutorials. Don't just watch one person's tutorial. Some good tutorial people on YouTube. Let's see. Ronnie Chalvis, or I guess you would know him as Ronnie Street Stunts. Jesse LaFleur, he's like one of my biggest idols in parkour. Like, he got me into parkour. Like, he's just one of my favorite people. And his tutorials are really amazing. There's the Tap Brothers. Look up whatever you want, and there's going to be so many tutorials on it. Watch all the tutorials, because everyone's going to cover it differently. Everyone's going to have different tips on how to learn it, different progressions. Progressions, that's one thing I want to cover. Progress. Like, you need to do progressions. You don't have to learn how to front handspring right away. You can learn the front roll and just keep getting comfortable with that. Go for the front handspring. Once you learn that, you can get a lot of pads so you can front flip, land on your back, do that till you're comfortable, and then start landing on your feet. Like, progress. You don't have to go front handspring, front flip, side flip, back handspring, back flip. Like, there's always, like, in between, like, little moves you can do. So for the back handspring, you don't have to go straight over your head. Like, you can actually, this is how I learned it. I actually went off to the side, and it was kind of like a clock. So I went off to the side about 90 degrees. It looked stupid. It wasn't even a back handspring, obviously. But I keep angling out, and eventually you just keep angling out farther and farther until you're going straight over your head, and then you have the back handspring. So just know, there's always progressions to every move. Like, you don't have to just go straight for the move. Like, you can always learn other things that will help you get comfortable with that move before you go for it. And progressions help you get over fear amazingly. Like, progressions are literally, like, one of the best things when it comes to learning new moves in parkour, free running, and or tricking. Anyway, I hope this video gave you some direction on where to go from, you know, wherever you are right now, or gave you a good place to start as far as learning flips goes. If not, or you have any questions whatsoever, leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to respond to you. If this did help you out though, please drop a like on the video and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video.